Today, we're diving into one of the most significant political moments of 2025, the end of the 41-day government shutdown that held 800,000 federal workers hostage and put millions of Americans' health care on the line. But here's where it gets controversial. 8 Democratic senators broke ranks and sided with Republicans to end this shutdown. Bernie Sanders is calling it a betrayal. Elizabeth Warren is sounding the alarm. And House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, he just told those 8 Democratic senators, "You're going to have to explain yourselves." So what really happened behind closed doors? Why did these Democrats cave? And what does this mean for 20 million Americans who could see their healthcare premiums double? Stick with me, because what I'm about to break down exposes the deepest fractures inside the Democratic Party and the political chess game Trump just won. Let's start with the facts. Late Monday night, the U.S. Senate voted 60-40 to pass a continuing resolution that reopens the federal government until January 30th, 2026. This deal restores funding for critical programs, SNAP, WIC, veteran services, and ensures that 800,000 furloughed workers will finally get their back pay. Sounds like a win, right? Not so fast. To get this deal across the finish line, 8 Democrats, including heavy hitters like Senator Dick Durbin and Tim Kaine, joined Republicans. But here's the kicker. This deal does not extend the Affordable Care Act subsidies. Those tax credits that keep healthcare affordable for more than 20 million Americans, gone. And that's where the Democratic Party started tearing itself apart. Hakeem Jeffries didn't hold back. At his Monday press briefing, he made it crystal clear. The House Democrats are not happy with what the Senate did. Listen to what he said. He called this fight not partisan, it's patriotic. He talked about Mariah Plant, a 29-year-old caregiver from rural Wyoming County, West Virginia. She takes care of her nonverbal autistic older brother. She relies on Medicaid, which Republicans just slashed by the largest amount in American history. And she gets her own health care from the Affordable Care Act, health care that's now at risk because of the tax credits being cut. Jeffries laid out the data. 45% of Americans who will lose health care or face skyrocketing premiums are registered Republicans. 35% are Democrats. 20% are independents. This isn't just a blue state problem. The 5 states most impacted, West Virginia, Wyoming, Alaska, Mississippi, and Tennessee, all deep red states. So when Jeffrey said, "This is a patriotic fight," he was sending a message. Democrats are fighting for Trump voters too. But 8 Senate Democrats just walked away from that fight. Bernie Sanders didn't mince words either. He took to the Senate floor and laid out the stakes in the starkest terms possible. According to studies, when you throw 15 million people off healthcare, 50,000 Americans will die unnecessarily every single year. Let that sink in. 50,000 lives. And Bernie was furious. He called out the 8 Democrats who, quote, caved, and warned that this fight is far from over. Short term, he says we must not allow premiums to double for 20 million Americans. Long term, we need Medicare for all. Healthcare as a human right. But here's the reality Bernie pointed out. Even if the Senate passes a standalone bill to extend those ACA subsidies, it won't matter. The Republican-controlled House won't take it up, and President Trump certainly won't sign it. So those 8 Democrats, they gave up their leverage for nothing. Meanwhile, President Trump was all smiles. Trump made it clear he got what he wanted. The government is reopening, and he didn't have to give an inch on health care. In fact, he doubled down, pledging health care reforms that specifically exclude subsidies for undocumented immigrants, a red meat issue for his base. And let's be real, Trump just outmaneuvered the Democrats. He held the government hostage for 41 days, and when the dust settled, 8 Democrats blinked first. But wait, there's more drama. Just when everyone thought the bill would sail through, Senator Rand Paul threw a wrench into the works. Speaker Mike Johnson went on Fox Business and said Rand Paul, along with maybe a couple others, was gumming up the works because they had a couple of little parochial priorities. What was Rand Paul fighting for? Hemp. Buried in this government funding package was a provision that would ban the unregulated sale of intoxicating hemp-based products, like Delta-8, from being sold online or at gas stations. Rand Paul, representing Kentucky, said this would devastate Kentucky's hemp farmers and small businesses.
He filed an amendment to strip that provision out. And under Senate rules, he was fully within his rights to use all available procedural time to delay the vote. Rand Paul defended himself on X, saying, "I'm not delaying this bill. The timing is already fixed under Senate procedure. Standing up for Kentucky jobs is part of my job." Here's the twist. The beer, wine, and spirits industry sent a letter to senators urging them to reject Rand Paul's amendment. They argued that hemp-derived THC products should be regulated just like alcohol, one of the most highly regulated consumer products in America. So Rand Paul was caught in a crossfire: protect Kentucky's hemp industry or cave to the alcohol lobby. In the end, the hemp provision stayed in. Rand Paul lost.
So what does all of this mean for everyday Americans? If you are one of the 20 million people who rely on Affordable Care Act subsidies, your premiums could double. If you're a federal worker, you're finally getting your back pay, but you just lived through 41 days of uncertainty. And if you're a voter, you just watched the Democratic Party fracture in real time. The 8 Democrats who voted with Republicans, Dick Durbin, Tim Kaine, and 6 others, are now facing a firestorm from their own base. Bernie Sanders supporters are calling this a betrayal. Progressive groups are already talking about primary challenges. And here's the question we need to ask. Why did they cave? Some say they were trying to be pragmatic, end the shutdown, get federal workers paid, and live to fight another day. Others say they were afraid of being blamed for prolonging the crisis. But Hakeem Jeffries said it best. They're going to have to explain themselves. What do you think? Did those 8 Democrats do the right thing, or did they sell out millions of Americans? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I want to hear from you.
This story is far from over. The fight for healthcare, the fight for working families, and the fight for the soul of the Democratic Party, it's all just beginning. If you want to stay informed on the latest political developments, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. And if you found this breakdown valuable, smash that like button. It really helps the channel grow. I'm here to bring you the facts, the analysis, and the context the mainstream media won't give you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.